Welcome to the space. It won't be a 3 hour meditation, I promise. Or something crazy.
I fall asleep by then.
No, yeah, no, not at all. But how they usually go, I don't know if you've been to one or you remember, is I'll speak on something, and then I'll ask a question, and then I'll answer the question last and go into the guidance from there, and then we close out. With how was it type of thing. This morning, I want to talk a little bit about when we don't know what to do, because there's enough of that. There's an abundance of that going on, um, locally, globally, nationally, to make it relevant. What to do, or what am I supposed to do, or some variation of that. How to continue. And the usual response to the feeling I don't know what to do, or I'm overwhelmed with so much that I don't know where to start. The usual response to something like that is to control as much as we can, to put ourselves into gear, so to speak, and try to balance as many spinning plates as we can. While this response, of course, is familiar, right, to most people, we can all kind of um, resonate with the feeling of trying to balance spinning plates. Life doesn't necessarily always support me trying to control this, and this all at once. When that response takes over, it can often feel like something else kicks into gear that maybe put into words, like life tries to stop me from controlling things. So it's like a double whammy. First, I feel that I need to take control of everything, but then I feel like I can't, because how it kind of works out. And so that brings me to, I guess, my first point of this thing, which is there's often a lack of trust within us that is there for good reason, but there's often a lack of trust within us of things going right without too much of our involvement or direct involvement. And a part of spiritually maturing is learning things like trust and faith in oneself, in spirit, in um, our peers, our children, whatever. Learning trust in otherness. Oh, and some more people just showed up. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, Jackie O.
Morning.
Talking about what to do when you don't know what to do this morning. That's the conversation. How to deal with the feeling of sometimes, sometimes it shows up as overwhelm, sometimes it shows up as like an underwhelm, but you just don't know where to go, what to do, where to start. So, to continue, oftentimes the first response to these type of feelings where I don't know what to do is to control everything. And then we notice very quickly that life doesn't necessarily always support me trying to control all of these things at once. And so there's like a double hit, a double whammy, as I called it, where first there's this overwhelm, I don't know what to do, and so we get into control everything mode, and then very soon after that, the other whammy comes of I can't control everything. Oh no, type of feeling. And so that brings me to my first point, which is that there's oftentimes a lack of trust that things will work out. There's a I don't know if it's a song lyric or one of the Beatles just said it, but there's this quote that's relevant here that says, "It'll be all right in the end. If it's not all right, then it's not the end." Again, it'll be all right in the end. So if it's not all right, it's not the end. Yeah, Bob Marley. A couple people said it. The Beatles said it, and Bob Marley. I don't know who said it first. Anyway, that quote, very, very relevant here. And very relevant now, because I'm sure everyone in here can resonate at least a little bit with either recently or currently feeling like we're balancing a bunch of spinning plates in the circus, trying to pay attention to which one is slowing down. So, building trust, building stability in trust, right? Unwaveringness in faith is something that doesn't come easy in spiritual maturity. As we learn to mature spiritually, we find that often what may hold some of that maturity back is this very lack of trust, or lack of ability to trust. It's not a lack of trust, but it's a lack of ability to act on the trust first versus acting on the fear first. We act on the fear first most of the time. The trust may be there intellectually, but it's not there in body, and it's not there in soul just yet. It's there in mind. We know we're supposed to trust. We know that something good's gonna happen, or something will even the things out. But we act on the fear first most of the time. And what may come of this cycle is a moment where you feel that you've hit a rock bottom, what we call rock bottom, where I don't have any more moves I can make on life's chessboard. I don't have any more ideas. I don't even have much more desire to figure out what to do in a figure out kind of way, in a controlling kind of way. And in this hitting rock bottom, there's often the moment where things turn back up. Where somehow, in giving up the power, now you suddenly have the power the way you wanted it. In rock bottom is liberating, indeed. In allowing, somehow there is attracting. But not if, and it's funny because if you go into allowing with the attitude of I'm going to just allow so that I can attract, well then you're still controlling and it probably won't work. Not in the same way. But whatever it is for you and your story that makes you really get to a point of, okay, either I'm gonna fail horribly or things are gonna turn up somehow out of my hands. Either way, it's gonna be a great story and I'm gonna tell my grandkids about it one day. Then somehow things get better. Whether it's an environment change, you end up moving somewhere and then they slowly get better, or some other, some sort of miracle happens right there where you are. Either way, it is in the face of our greatest fear that we often meet our greatest victory. Because our greatest victory will never come from our personal self. It will always come from something greater than the person we think we are. And again, it's not that we don't know this up here in the mind. We know this because from childhood we're watching stories and movies and reading holy books. We know that this is supposed to be the case. But still, and which is why I think that it's a good thing that we develop a lack of trust so that we can rebuild that trust through a wonderful story, through a wonderful experiencing. But knowing it is not the same as Morpheus tells Neo, knowing the path is not walking the path. Something like that. Right? We gotta walk the path to really experience the truth. And a few different ways, right? Because we happen to pick up so many different kinds of wounds in childhood that we gotta walk that path of trusting things will turn up in a couple different aspects before it really sets in, right? Maybe you got it at your first heartbreak. I'm gonna read that in a second. Maybe you got it on your first heartbreak for the relationship aspect, but you gotta trust it financially. You gotta learn that. Or maybe you got it financially, early on in your 20s, but you gotta, learn trust in the spiritual or the, just other aspects, security, self-esteem, something. Where everything just makes you feel little and makes you feel less than, until you finally trust that something, you sort of stand on your faith that you will learn to love yourself again, and then finally it happens. me see. My teachers tell me that information isn't knowledge until it is placed into practice. For sure. For sure. Yep. Life is but a dream till you wake up and move. Waking up is moving. So life is but a dream till you wake up. So my question for us today is, even if just for today, how will you lean on your faith or trust? Even if just for today, how will you lean on your faith or your trust? How will you stand on your square? And again, not with the attitude, okay, I'm gonna allow so that, I'm gonna trust so that it turns up, because that's the old way. But without making an announcement, you could say, but just doing it. How will you lean on your faith or trust, even if just for today? Feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat. Either one.
Morning.
Good
For
morning.
me, I feel like it goes back to what you were saying with the quote, like about the Beatles or Bob Marley, just believing that everything's going to be all right, that everything always works itself out. So leaning into that, overstanding that everything is going to work out.
Yes. Thank you.
Your question is, how will I show trust, or how will I display trust?
Well, I said lean on it, but yeah, whatever
Mhm.
works.
So that question is the answer to the first question. What do you do when you don't know what to do? So when I don't know what to do, I should trust. And how do I bring this trust to light? That is like I in yes, in practice, I can say what the things that I would need to do to bring this trust to light, right? I can say like, oh yeah, okay, I need to not worry and not be stressed and just, believe that. But as you said, that belief is different from that practice, right? Like to know that, to understand that. So when I think about like how will I truly apply that in practice? How will I truly apply that complete trust where I am not overwhelmed by the uncertainties, and I am not, drowning in my insecurities and my own visions of my own inabilities. I'm just simply exhaling and knowing that exactly how I am and everything that I am is for what I have and what is brought to me. And that if I am not able to navigate it, it wouldn't be in front of me. Um, so I just have to always tap back into that, I guess, to tap into my trust. Like, first of all, it wouldn't even be in front of you if you can handle it. Um, so I guess that reality check for me is like a huge thing. Um, like I know I've heard you guys, because I've said this to you guys before, and you said don't use it as a way to beat yourself up, right? And it's not even. I am giving myself grace, but reality checks are really important for me because it's like because of that, because I don't want to have that. I okay, yeah, I trust. Oh yeah, I pray, I fast. Oh yeah, that's trust. That's because that's not really what trust is, right? Those
Right.
are the actions that can lead to trust.
Right.
But to think about trust itself and how to truly push that out, where it's pushed out as a complete covering, now that's a whole other journey. Sorry.
No. No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. In fact, I'm gonna respond to you a little bit because, yeah, we need to feel those feelings of being overwhelmed because you had said in the beginning of your response where I'm not being lost in the overwhelm and I'm not being lost in the discomfort of things. But sometimes, no, when you're lost in those things, that's when it needs to kick in. That's when you get a faint glimmer of remembering, oh, yeah, it's these moments where I feel these feelings are activated, where I can practice real trust, not just the practices that are supposed to strengthen it, but just the trust itself. It's when these feelings are active, when I'm looking at three of the plates that I'm balancing wobbling really hard, and I only have two hands. It's right there where it counts. You could say where it really counts. And so those feelings are often not bad. They're opportunity. They're intense, but they're intense opportunity. Bigger the risk, bigger the reward. Thank you for sharing.
Was Jackie O. Go ahead, and then I'll go after you. Okay. Grand Rising, everyone. The question reminded me of what my intention for this week has been, which is patience and compassion. Um, First with myself, and then with just responding to some situations that caused me to be really annoyed. And I don't get annoyed or agitated easily, but I've been annoyed and agitated quite a bit this week. And so I've just decided to extend patience and compassion to myself, first of all, with saying it's okay for you to feel that way. It's okay for you to express that, but then use patience and compassion with addressing and dealing with, those situations and those people that are causing you the agitation. And so for today, the way I'll lean into my trust is that I'll just continue to be patient and compassionate and, allow my day to unfold the way that, God sees for it to unfold and release whatever else doesn't happen and know that, everything is in divine order. And so just exercising patience and compassion is how I will lean into trust today and know that, my day is being divinely ordered.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. And patience with self in front and center, hopefully. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, everyone, for, because there's such an openness and a vulnerability to sharing and a courage to sharing and to speaking what your experience is. And thank you. Thank you for, even if just for today, I will lean on faith and trust by settling into that discernment that everything that I experience, everything that a loved one or a stranger experiences is in alignment with that divine order that Jackie O was speaking of. Yeah. So every thought, every feeling, every circumstance is literally that same divine source shaping itself into cooperative components through me, through others, um, for for the purpose of the story, right? A learning, a rebirth, a grounding in truth. So the image of a circle keeps coming up, and thinking of in music, 4 measures in the US and Africa and Asia and other cultures. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, because it's a continuous cycle. And I've just been reminded again and again, like the message keeps coming through of, you're already whole and so loved. And yes, I've also been experiencing emotions that I was like, oh, I don't, I don't, I don't normally do this, coming up and through me, in a cyclical manner, and just coming to that discernment, that acknowledging that it's playing out something that needs to be played out, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's part of the journey right now. And I feel this, as a result of that, non-resistance, even in the midst of resistance, just the intention even to allow is such a surrendering, a deepening in trust. So
Yes.
that's my response.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you. For clarification, for those that may be wondering, the way we usually count music over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. That's the measure. Where in other places of the world, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, sort of coming back to the beginning of the circle again, where there's no end to it. So all of their songs just fade out. They just keep going. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, it's like that. It's where here there's like a rigid 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. Your hands up. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm like a slow thinker. I stay on one thought for forever. And so I'm thinking about the response, and this analogy just came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
and just listening to what Tensi said, because I can relate to that, Coach Tensi. I can relate to the recently like feelings coming up out of me, but also I've also recently remarried, and even though this was a friend, we are now in each other. We see each other, of course, in a different light now, and there's a lot of things coming up that I didn't even know existed, and as opposed to looking at him, like, oh my gosh, you're bringing this out of me. It's like, oh my gosh, you're bringing this out of me. Like, I didn't even know that this was inside of me, like, so like, and for me, it's important to know these things, to see these things, to be aware of it, because that's the only way that you can flush it out, right? So the fact that all these years, and this is not my first rodeo, right? All these years that I've never really been exposed to this, that for me is like growth. So right, so it's like so the analogy that I thought of is this journey, and right, so we're on this road, on the road, all of life circumstances happen, people, things, da 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 da. But what you said, so when you said that you, in those moments, that's when you tell yourself, right? For me, it was like, those are the refuel, right? So the road is a path, and every time you come to a gas station, you decide what type of what type of gas are you putting in your car. Are you putting Supreme? Are you putting regular? Are you putting E84? Are you putting, and that would determine how far you go, will determine how long your car actually lasts. It determines so much. And so, right, if I get to that point, where I'm running low on fuel faith, and I go to the gas station to refill, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go with E84, E85. I think I can do this. Maybe. All right, let's see how it goes, right?
I'm with
And
you.
if I go with that, then I'm breaking down 2 miles down the road. But if I'm going with like, like, God put me here so I can face this, because I can face this, and I'm putting in the highest grade gas, then I'm probably gonna make it to the next gas station, right?
Yes,
So
it's
when you said
conviction.
that, I was like,
Mhm.
man, this is the analogy, because how poets do. So this was the
Yeah, yeah,
analogy
yeah,
that
yeah,
came
yeah,
to my
yeah.
mind. I was like,
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for that. Wonderful analogy. And yes, it is in those moments when the vehicle breaks, is on E, that we need to refuel, and it would be, it's often great to consider what kind of fuel we're putting back in our vehicles. Okay. And my answer quickly, and then we'll go into the guided meditation from there. To the question, how, even if just for today, how will I lean on faith and trust? Is, well, I destroy the doer. What does it mean? I destroy the doer. We go through life. The reason why we struggle with trust and faith is because of the the identification with I am doing such and such and so and so. And so my method here is to destroy that belief system that I am doing, because every breath, every thought, every piece of wisdom, every experience that I get to taste in this world is given to me from on high, from something, from a higher order of intelligence that I couldn't comprehend with my human mind. All the love, all of the everything comes to me. It's a gift. Every moment is a gift. So I call it the present. And so I will destroy, or I destroy the doer. And all that's left is faith and trust that things will turn up without the extra, so that I can make things turn up, because the doer's not there to make things turn up for the better with this attitude. So I destroy the doer. That's my answer. I destroy the idea that I was ever in control in the first place. Shit. Pardon the scratchy morning throat. Alright, so at this moment, I encourage you to find a comfortable way to sit down or lay back with your spine in somewhat of a straight line. And we're going to get started with the meditation. We will get started the same way we always do. I'll signal, I'll count to 3, and then we'll breathe in through the nose, filling up all the way, breathing in peace, breathe out the mouth, emptying all the way, breathing out the mind. And it's just a symbol for the beginning and eventually the end of the meditation session, but not necessarily the beginning or end of the meditation itself. So again, you want to be seated with your spine in somewhat of a straight line if you can. And if that's not comfortable, then comfort is first priority, straight back second priority. Bless. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. In with peace. And out. Welcome to this moment, everyone. I invite you to close or focus your eyes and relax into this moment. Listen. And more importantly than listening outward, listen inward. Take in what is inside. For just a moment, leave anything that's pulling on your attention to listen. Listening is the first thing we know how to do, even before we learn how to breathe. We hear the energy of our mother in various ways. Listen. The invitation is also to let go of talking to oneself in the head. Listen to that too, if it continues, just listening. Listening for the sound, but also listening or the blank interval in between. Allowing an openness of heart and mind to take shape. For whatever is to happen will happen. Whatever will not be, will not be. But when we listen, we don't hold expectations for what should be or what should happen. We become open. In meditation of the heart, this openness is not about finding peace. It's about noticing that the place you are listening from, the place you are seeing from, is peace itself. Not in thought, in reality. So in meditation of the heart, you don't need to slow the mind, although it may be supportive. You don't need to become something you are not already. Simply be. What is here now? What is me now? We often hold what I call a self-image. In meditation, there is opportunity to see that the self-image was created after I am. So I am not my self-image, for I am here to see its creation, its changes, and its disappearance. If I am not my self-image, how to know what I am? Listen. Listen deeply. Find the silence between thoughts. Find the presence between self-images. Let go of knowledge for a moment. For knowing happens on its own. Doesn't need your aid. You can do this. Let go of things for a moment. You don't need them. Also, let go of trying. For trying requires a self-image. Only opening, only listening. Again, there's no need to try and slow your mind or become something you're not. For already, no matter what is pulling on your attention, you are here to see it, to feel it, to listen. From where you are listening from, there is no shape, size, color, knowledge, or doing. Yet, there is the presence of self. Pure being, as it's called sometimes. This pure being will clean out false ideas, if you wanted to. will bring you into relationship with truth if you allow it so. Make you unafraid of death or change. If you abide in it. You don't need to sit in meditation to abide in pure being, in your real self. For in reality, you've always been right where you are, watching the changes unfold. Be yourself. Be yourself. On the count of 3, we'll take in our final deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth together. Breathing in peace, breathing out the mind. 1, 2, 3. In with peace. And out. Welcome to this moment, everyone. I invite you to bring some movement back in. And as always, if there is anything that resonated, or maybe you feel you'd like more clarity on or to revisit, or if you'd just like to share your experience with today's meditation, today's guidance, then please do. Oh yeah, and Tensi put in the chat our information for donations. Please make a donation if you can. Greatly appreciated, although never required for you to come back next week. You can come back as many times as you want.
So, a non-judgmental notice about myself. Non-judgmental notice.
You promise? No, I'm kidding.
I kind of just accepted it. I don't know what it is yet. Like, I don't know how to navigate it as yet. But I feel like I have ADHD when it comes to like meditation, and it's not just like I've done meditation with you. I've done meditation is the principle and concept of meditation isn't new to me, right? But for some reason, like, or maybe it's guided meditation. So whenever I hear someone else's voice, it's like I have ADHD. Like, like I get distracted. I start thinking. Like I literally go off of an entire train from something they said, and I'm like thinking this and this and this and this and this and that. But when I'm by myself and it's just silent or it's just outside, I'll get lost in that trance, right?
Mhm.
But guided, I'm like, oh man, he just said that. I should go clean up the dishes. Oh man, I should go put those away. Like that's what that does for me. But again, it's a non-judgmental notice. And I truly, I think, embraced it today where I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not good at this.
No, 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 no. Mm-mm. Too far.
That's judgmental notice, huh?
Too far. Well, when you get into the realm of good and good, better, worse, good, bad, better, worse type of, then there's judgment.
Yes. Yes.
Not to correct you, but just to point out, like, wait a minute, hold on. That part, the beginning is just a noticing. My mind does such and such in this type of trying to meditate. So I've accepted, but then next part, so I've accepted I'm not good at this. Wait a second, hold up. Nobody is. Nobody's good at meditation, any form. It's just we have ideas of what meditation should be, what it should bring, what it should, clear up, whatever. And those ideas are believed in. Hence, we start to say things like other people are better or, such and such, like that. But it's not true. The secret about meditation is nobody could do it. All due respect, Jesus couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Because it's not, because, and, I realize that to really fully explain what I mean is going to take more time than we have here together. But just in short, it's not a doing. And there comes a point with a couple things. One is trying, sort of again and again until certain things are noticed as they are. But also sometimes some talking, getting to look at and reflect on with someone that has sort of been there, and can coach you through. But you start to notice when you get this coaching and you do continue your practice, that if I see that a character in inner space is traveling down these trains of thought, whenever I hear a voice and I like what was said, or I wonder about what was said, or it brings something else to quote unquote my attention, and it starts to go on multiple trains of thought at a time sometimes, and sometimes just one. If I can see that, right? If I'm sitting and I notice that such and such, or I notice when I sort of come to, when he says the next thing and I come to, and I'm like, oh, I was just thinking a whole lot. If I see that, then where I truly am is not in the thoughts. And it doesn't mean it will be mastered as soon as that's noticed, but it just means that there's opportunity to stay with the one that's not in the thoughts. An aspect of myself is in the thoughts, that's for sure. Your experience is valid. An aspect of me is in the thoughts. And I usually, without thinking about it, I call that aspect of me myself. But it's not really me, because I can see that happening from a place that is not happening too. From a sort of deeper space, or a higher space, you may say, that is, it's unchanged by any trains of thought. And this place,
It's subconscious, isn't it?
no, because you're it's not under your consciousness.
I'm
It's
still
just
off mute. Sorry.
you didn't know you. I'm glad you stayed off mute. But no, it's not it's not under your consciousness, because you're aware that you see such and such a happening. So it's not under your consciousness. And the more the more understanding comes in, the less we use words like subconscious mind or subconsciousness or higher consciousness, stuff like that, because it's just ideas that make talking about these things easy, but they're not really there. There's no database of subconscious in the brain or in the mind or whatever that is actually there as like a locker room for all of my thoughts that I ever had or whatever. It's not really there. It's just it. Those concepts make it easy to talk about the phenomena of mind itself. What is there is sort of there's like a presence of myself, and there's also this phenomenon of thinking that happens, and thinking happens in a whole bunch of different ways, right? A video may appear, a voice may appear, a combination of the two. They may appear with feelings, with emotional resonance, right? Whatever it is. So thinking happens in a bunch of different ways, but that thinking that happens and the feelings and the emotions that go with it, they are seen from a place that's not thinking. Because I couldn't say, yeah, so when I go to do this, this happens. If it was really me that was in it, I wouldn't see it. Right? When you're on the train and the train is moving at 70 miles an hour and you're not looking out the window, you're being still. You don't see that we're on this rock floating through space around the sun. We don't see it because we're in it. And so the same thing, if you were really in the thoughts, you wouldn't be able to report on them. That I was thinking about the dishes and I was thinking, oh, amen, he said this and that. You wouldn't see it because it would be you. It'd be you in the totality. Something is still, even when we feel most intense, because we can report on it. We can say, this is intense thing is happening. There's like a window that never moves that we see all of our activities through. Physical and internal activities.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So nobody's good at it. So don't feel you're different because you feel you're not good at it. Nobody is. It's not a requirement for for anything.
Yeah, I heard you mention several times, so not to try to still the thoughts, just meditate from your heart. And hearing that was the first time that I really understood, or maybe even heard why you call this particular practice meditation of the heart. Because I never think about meditating from my heart. It's just always a focus on what's going on with your thoughts. Acknowledge the thoughts, let the thoughts pass. Don't try to steal your thought. The whole thing was in the mind.
Right.
And so it occurred to me that, I too kept thinking about Sunday dinner. I was like, oh my goodness, I really want my sons and I to get together Sunday, but everybody has a really full weekend. Ooh, I really want to host. Ooh, am I going to have time to get things together? When will I cook? And I had this whole thing going on about Sunday. And I was like, ooh, I need to text and get ahead of the weekend and say, hey, why don't we just go out and eat? But ooh, everybody's going to be busy. The restaurants are going to be full. And it occurred to me that perhaps that thought was okay because that was really a desire of my heart. That was my heart for and don't be so intent on saying no, don't be thinking about it.
You're starting to break up just a little bit.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So when I heard you say, this is a meditation of your heart, I was okay with the thoughts because it was really the desire in my heart to be with my sons that was coming out. Versus, ooh, you shouldn't be thinking about that right now.
Yeah, right.
But just allow that desire of your heart to be present right now in this space and trust, lean into your trust
and just be patient and compassionate that it will all happen the way it should happen. So thank you.
I love it. I love it when the message in the beginning aligns with the experience of the guidance itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, be open. Not as advice, but just as something I need to hear. Be open to the experiences that come in meditation. Sometimes it takes us sitting still to notice I really want to be with my sons for a moment, for a thing. And we're so busy doing life that sometimes it'll flash in, flash out too fast for us to notice that this is something I'd love to do and I want to do, stuff like that. So yeah, being open to what stillness brings up and out, and also I would encourage also leaving a little space for nothing to be important as well. For just all of it to show up, do its thing, disappear, and give a little space to the self that's noticing all of these things show up, do their thing, and disappear. Because if I don't know me, then I don't know a lot of things. But yes, all the way.
It sounds it
Mhm.
sounds like a 3-part solution. Mindfulness, meditation of the heart. It sounds like okay, so what do you do when you don't know what to do? If you're meditating, right? So either one, the answer will show itself, right? Through what you're focused on, you realize that, two, the you just need to be focused on nothing and just allow that moment to pass in clarity, right? Or 3, faith, right? To just have faith through it all. The 3-part solution meditation will show up. So, right.
The professor in me really wants to edit number 2. You can't
Go ahead.
focus on nothing. Nobody can focus on nothing. Again, it's not possible. The mind, consciousness abhors a vacuum. Energy must be in there. But
Well, what else?
hold on, wait. Because I get what you meant. But the way that we word things also reveals parts about what our perspective. So I get what you meant. I'm correcting the idea. I'm not correcting you. Okay. Okay. So it's not focus on nothing because at the deepest level, there's no you that can focus on the nothing anyway, even if it was possible. There's no you that can take control and do that with your focus or your attention. What can happen is that where you already are becomes what you see, or what you see, but you can't see it like you see everything else because it's you. So you can't like take you out of you and look at it as an object, but you is where the awareness sort of rests. Right? You can't shine a spotlight on the flashlight on it because it's not an object. It's where you are. But it's just that's what becomes what's important. Is where you are seeing from, where you are hearing from. Where you are youing from is what becomes where the awareness lies. That's more so than focus on nothing. Queenie Beanie, you still there?
Yeah, yeah. I was just I'm grateful because I feel peace right now, and it was nice like hearing everyone and relating to everything everyone was saying. You know what to do when you don't know what to do, the patience, the compassion, all of that, and me starting out, with that kind of don't not knowing to do, you don't know what to do, and overwhelmed with all those things, and then just the message of leaning into the trust. So I feel like I'm, leaning. The trust is there, hasn't left, and I'm just continuing just to feel this peace in this moment. I'm basking on that right now.
Wonderful. Well, good. Good, good, good. Bask away. Bask away. Tensi?
Yeah. So of course, in my experience this time, and I think like every time there's thoughts and trains of thought and things, but the difference now is that while they come up and then they fade back to source, it is experienced as one, not a bad thing, and two, I just kind of relax into like knowing that the mind's gonna do what it's gonna do, and that's just what it's gonna do, and that there's a difference between me and what arises, what I see, what I hear, what I feel. So like over time it's been disentanglement
Mm-hmm.
in this moment, in this moment, in this moment, a disentanglement between identifying with that is me, right? A softening. Softening is the word that's coming to describe settling into right now is enough. The now is enoughness. And noticing where my mind goes to should be's, because my mind tends to cling to what life should be, and am I measuring up kind of thing as what it has been trained to do over time. So noticing the should be's as what they are, thoughts, and no greater, no less. They just arise, they fade away, and the power still remains here, regardless. Deeper relaxation, deeper peace. I want to say thank you, and I'm really grateful that this space is here to be still, to see what comes, to bring forth greater appreciation, greater understanding, clarity, greater knowing and trust.
May true understanding grace the hearts of all of us and everyone around the universe. Ashe. Thank you all for coming. It means a lot. Oh! Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What does your shirt say, Soul? If you want the truth, start examining
Yes.
their lies.
Ashe indeed. Enjoy your days. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you guys so much for this space.
Yeah, come back more often. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Y'all know was a lot be going on in my head. But those thanks, the outreach, like I know sometimes I'll be missing it, but like that's what saved me this morning. That Tennessee text. so thank you guys. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
See you soon, love.
Bye bye.